Hey everyone, welcome. I'm going to start adding people. We have Anselmo. I'm not sure why I don't see a way to add Anselmo to the stage. Oh, he's already there. Feel free to open your cameras or don't. It's up to you. But yeah, we're experimenting with this different platform today. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I got you.
Yes.
Nice to see you. Okay, so welcome to the fifth miscellaneous formats Cardano Design Centre call from 45B. I'm gonna jump and share my screen. You know, what else can I do? I was asking Anselmo, I wonder if I'm gonna be able to do the video screen share, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it like that. Here we go. I may have to do it again to play audio in a bit. So just recapping a bit in terms of what this call is about. This is a funded proposal by Catalyst. The project and the project's main goal is to support Cardano projects in terms of design, UI UX, and even go to market and product management. So MISC skill set. And so, yeah, today we have two main topics, which are AI and a bit of more the graphic design side of things. And let's jump right in. I'm going to add Harsha to the stage as well. Welcome, Harsha. I hope you're fine. Everyone's finding your bearings. Hey, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Cheers. So I have like the Miro board where we've been working, and I have these notes that I decided to do in this format today because, as you know, is how I usually do them. So I'm going to start with this small clip from Roberto, and maybe that Roberto shared, which has to do with AI. Here we go.
Levels, and this is where it gets spicy and exciting. Level 4 is the developer as the product manager. You write a specification, you leave, you come back hours later and check whether the tests pass. You're not really reading the code anymore. You're just evaluating the outcomes. The code is a black box. You care whether it works, but because you have written your evals so completely, you don't have to worry too much about how it's written if it passes. This requires a level of trust both in the system and in your ability to write spec. And that quality of spec writing almost nobody has developed well yet. Level 5, the dark factory. This is effectively a black box that turns specs into software. It is where the industry is going. No human writes the code. No human even reviews the code. The factory runs autonomously with the lights off. Specification goes in, working software comes out. And, Shapiro is correct. Almost nobody on the planet operates at this level. The rest of the industry is mostly between level 1 and level 3, and most of them are treating AI kind of like a junior developer. I like this framework because it gives us really honest language for a conversation that's been drowning in hype. When a vendor tells you their tool writes code for you, they often mean level 1. When a startup says they're doing agentic software development, they often mean level 2 or 3. But when Strong DM says their code must not be written by humans, they really do mean level 5, the dark factory, and they actually operate there. The gap between marketing language and operating reality is enormous, and collapsing that gap into what is actually going on the ground requires changes that go way beyond picking a better AI tool. So many people look at this problem and think this is a tool problem. It's not a tool problem, it's a people problem. So what does level 5 software development actually look like? I think Strong DM's software factory is the most thoroughly documented
Okay, so from here on, he goes into this deep deconstruction of certain players in this space. So I'm going to stop sharing. And so, yeah, that's one of the main topics for today. Welcome, Shaggy, as well. Nice to have you here. Cheers. All good. So I'm not sure, Roberto, do you want to jump in and voice a bit what you mean to highlight in this video?
Yeah, sure. This is a guy that I just enjoy watching videos. He seems to be very proactive in the AI space. He's like, I think it's an ex-Amazon engineer. And, he talks a little bit of from a different perspective. It's not. It's more of where the industry is going and some people that are in the, I guess, in the frontier of development with AI. And I watch him because I'm not a developer. I don't really write code most of the time, but by necessity mostly I am doing a little bit of whatever, I guess you call it vibe coding. I thankfully have people that review my PR, so it's not that bad. But I've been trying to nail down some project workflow that would allow me to write better PRs, put less burden on the reviewers, which is a big part of the problem. And so, I try to take some cues from whoever's leading in the industry. This guy kind of summarizes from time to time what are some practices that are being done. One of those is this dark factory, AI factory. Whether you agree with it or not, it's been useful to me. It doesn't necessarily mean I think it's good. I don't think that creating a black box of code where you don't really know what you're putting out there is a good idea. But results speak for themselves to some degree. That was kind of the point with this guy. It's an interesting guy to listen to, basically.
Yeah. Thank you so much, because I've been listening to, I think, Code Report by some YouTuber and some others as well on the topic. I've recently started using AI Cloud Code to do some stuff, and I'm not so sure. I always think about that black box approach. If everyone starts using it, I'm afraid that planes may start falling off the sky. Some things get so intricate that at a point we don't just simply don't know what's happening. But anyway, I'm not sure if anyone else wants to add something, but I wanted to turn it a bit more to the context of using AI for design and user flow, and to be like in the middle, so to use AI between your coding AI and your UI mocking AI. Not sure if you've done a bit of this, Roberto, or anyone here.
Yeah, I just discovered something pretty useful yesterday. We had a design system skill, and I hadn't really used it. I didn't write it, but when I read it, it was mostly around implementation, right? These is where the components are. You don't create new components. You build on top of the components you don't build on top of root components. A lot of like technical implementation details, but there was lacking. It was a design system skill that did not have design philosophy behind it, didn't have any instructions for the AI to understand what was the vision, or not the vision, but just the design philosophy. What is the idea? So I fed it like, use human interface guidelines types principles. And this is the goal that we want with our app. We want to make blockchain as invisible as possible. We want world-class UI UX. We want the user to be aware of what they're doing. We want the transition from credential to project to be understood and clear to the user what the value is, because it's really important for us that the pipeline from seeing a project that you're interested in contributing to, understanding what are the prerequisites, getting those prerequisites, getting that credential, being able to go back to the project, join it, contribute, and get rewards and get credentials for that. That's the story that we want to tell with Andamio, at least the reference implementation. So it helped me create a really good design philosophy. And then I told it just audit the app with this skill in mind. and it found, I just told it like rank it from 0 to 100. We got a 68. Cool. Identified issues. Now figure it out.
But
and now
what were you using then? Sorry.
I only use Claude Code for coding. I use Gemini for like references and stuff like that, research. But for coding, I just use Claude Code. Basically, I was using Codex for a while, but yeah, I decided to just get the upgraded subscription from Claude Code. I was running out of tokens like all the time, so now I use the Claude for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm using Claude Code as well, but I found it to be very, very different when you're using it on the web and on your VS Studio.
Yeah, I only use it on the terminal. Yeah. And we do something that Nori kind of implemented, which I think is really good, which is we have an Andamio AI context repo with a bunch of our knowledge base. We dump there like Andamio is distributed, organized in circles because we use sociocratic governance. And so each circle has its domain, and there's a bunch of documents there that talk a lot about what Andamio is and what it does and what our vision is. And so the AI can load that context whenever it thinks about doing things. That's pretty useful. More than like generic Claude skills, we have our own, and the context of what the company is, kind of our history, how we got here, pivots, feedback, all that kind of stuff. It feeds when you want it to.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a small question, Roberto. So if someone new joins like Andamio, how would they get through to the context of Andamio? Do they use an AI to like read the circles documents and understand what that circle does? Or how are you guys thinking about training the future employees?
So I'll tell you how we are sort of onboarding Andrew and Caesar. Sort of. I say sort of because we haven't fully gotten to the opportunity to be able to hire them full time. We're just kind of still helping us out. But ideally, what you would do is use Andamio to start contributing. So we have this Andamio platform project in Andamio V1. Now we're going to move it to V2, where we got some funds to do some UX work. And so every end of the month, I just tallied up their PRs. They assigned points to those PRs. And then I had to create something because it's driving me crazy. I had to go through all the PRs, add up the points, add up the time they spent in meetings, and then you go to Andamio and there's your task, and you can claim it. What we found from that experience is that we needed a small feature that allows you to pre-select contributors. That was feedback from the time from Odin's Summer of Code and from the experience with Caesar and Andrew. So that's part one. Part two is you need to understand a little bit of sociocracy. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy. It's weird. Sometimes it's not the most efficient governance systems. It takes some getting used to. You guys know this, right? You and Newman. Andamio is tricky. And through that process, you go through sort of learning how we do things, how we whatever. Andamio AI context is sort of the last step. If you look at the repo, it's massive. It has a lot of documents, and AI just produces a lot of text. So going through that really doesn't make a lot of sense if you don't use an AI tool to basically ask it questions. What does Andamio think of this? What is Andamio's mission or whatever? What are OKRs? For example, we try to use OKRs as a way to not lose focus. So every time we're like, what's the OKR for the quarter one, quarter four, whatever? And that kind of helps us decide, okay, what should we be focusing on right now? So Q1 OKR is get V2 on mainnet, get users onboarded, because we need to, right? We have Barca, we have Intersect. They're not asking for a key results. We just those are commitments that we have that we need to fulfill. So every time we make a decision, strategic decision, first thing.
One of these is that context repo that you were talking about?
It's called Andamio AI Context. I'm not sure it's public.
Okay.
But if it is, you should be able to see it. I can show it to you guys if you want.
No, I was just curious. But anyway, let's crack on. Like I said, I have this sequence of things that you can see here that I wanted to fly you over, and just to test my skills or to test the tools or however you want to see it. So I've started adding some things here for today on the Miro board. So you'll see there's a section for design, AI for design and build. There's a section here for graphic design, just some references that we may want to showcase to start sharing with people. What I'm doing with this one is, so the goal, like I said, in the context of design, not just development, or starting with the mocks and the user flows and all that, I wanted to see what I can do with, with Claude and Figma, or one versus the other, or one complementing the other. So when I got to Figma, what I saw there, I have it on my other screen here. Let me just pull it up. Basically, it has these kinds of MCP servers, and it has some ways to generate diagrams and things like those. Oh, sorry. This is from Claude's point of view. You have connectors for Claude to inject diagrams and things into Figma. And from Figma's point of view, it was a whole different story. So it offered to just get a prompt from me on what I wanted to build. You'll probably, this will probably make sense to you. So I asked it to create the front-end mocks and user flow for a Cardano Web3 point of sale wallet app, mobile first. It should go through the typical user flow where a merchant selects products and quantities from pre-configured lists, confirms the basket and selects a currency to get paid in, and the app generates a QR code for the paying customer to pay. What I was surprised is that before I even submitted it, it asked me to select what I then documented here, which is like basically Figma internally is using Claude Opus or Claude Sonnet models. And yeah, as you can see, it did the typical, I'm just going to reduce the size a bit. Maybe this is okay for you guys, right? Because I reduced also the screen resolution in my computer. So it created the whole thing in TypeScript, apparently. And I have this kind of mock here. I'm not sure if anyone has done this kind of experimentations already in the room.
No, not me.
I've not done it with Figma, but I've done, I usually do something similar. Mm-hmm. Usually in terms of requisites, when I try to pass something to the developers, I usually use Claude to sum up and basically create the specs, and then I pass it to Lovable to create the kind of UI that I want the app to be developed.
Lovable UI, right? AI.
Yeah. I usually use those two, and then I pass that to ClickUp.
I'm sorry, this is in Portuguese, guys,
but Lovable, yeah. I only create the mockups there, so it doesn't create a stable solution. But for mockups, it's great.
On Lovable, you create the mockups.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a bit puzzled, to be honest, because, like I said, on Claude, I couldn't see a way to just create mocks, but maybe we couldn't expect that. I was hoping this connector could be that. On Figma, what it's doing, this doesn't seem like Figma at all currently. It's really just a UI for Claude itself. So I'm not sure what the progression would be from here to actually get Figma diagrams, which is interesting because it's one of the points that I wanted to raise with you guys. I've never been that much of a Figma person because, if we do HTML, you just keep refreshing the browser. I was working on an app this morning and keep refreshing on your phone and updating it, and the browser is your rendering layer. So I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. Do you really prioritize, or does your flow go through Figma, or do you do it like I was doing? And that ironically is what's happening here. So we're going straight to code, let's say.
Yeah, I can jump in here. This is Newman, everybody. It's great to see you, and thanks, Lucas, for showing this. one thing, just because I think of Figma as a purely visual, design tool, like what colors and how I want components, and they kind of they have a few like mock-up things where you can make links and do stuff. And you asked if I had done anything with the Claw or with an AI assistance, and I do remember that I was just randomly, I was like, okay, I just went through their typical flow, and I was like, I gave it a prompt, and it generated all of this code. And I remember being kind of scared for it, but I would love for you to like, would you look at the package JSON on that code just to see like what it built it with, and
Yep.
and then maybe look at go over to the code. So this is in preview. Yeah, go to code, then look at package JSON. That'll tell us like what just up to.
Okay, thanks.
There you go. Okay, it made it with Radix, which I guess is a React thing. What else does it
Well, it's
have?
probably just a
Oh, it's
front-end
using
for
the
your-
Lucid. It's using Lucid. So that's kind of cool. Huh. And Vite and Tailwind.
Mhm. Yeah, but this is-
Anyway,
sorry.
I think that for I mean, that's just interesting. I'm curious if there's other more heavy coder folk here that but for me, I want to be able, I mean, I guess it's good to have the code. Even if you don't use this code, you can kind of see like how they're doing it, how they're, breaking it down. But it's still, I think my question is just like going from your chat interface, Claude, or I use ChatGPT, into Figma, or Figma into Claude, and so that's sort of where my question is.
That was my question as well. It's something that I'm going to have to experiment a bit more. Like I said on the previous calls, we're still in a way of exploring, networking, bringing people into the discussion. This is not a masterclass by any measure. So it was really just a first try at this. But yeah, what I was expecting eventually, I think that's what you were talking to, is that I would get typical Figma produced, similar like to Miro or something, and then I could tell Claude, pick up this Figma file and create the code from it. I wouldn't expect Figma, the Figma.com website, to just feed everything for Claude to create code, and
I need to drop off in a few minutes, but if I could suggest something that we might do here that would be really, I think, useful, is we should just use some time to build a prototype in real time. I think the biggest skill that we can learn right now is to spec out applications. Pedro, I know you have a lot of experience doing business requirements and this kind of stuff.
More on the requirements.
Still, we can think about the user journey. We can think about the target. We can feed it to Claude or whatever, and figure out how to build it. Claude is not like it won't do as good as Figma, but it'll spit out something that's pretty nice. It'll use Tailwind. You can tell it to use whatever you want, and it'll look fine. It'll look decent. And I think that's kind of the what I've heard, the biggest starting point, the biggest skill that people need to start building is really how to define the spec for any feature, for any application. That would be a good start.
That's what I felt from the video that you shared, that we started with. The onus starts being a lot more on the guy that specs things than on the architect or on the technological insights to make it be buildable. But thanks for coming by, Roberto. Thanks for raising this. Like I said, it's just going to be touching on this point. But Macroman mentioned on the last call on X that he's building agents and everything, right? So we're going to come back to this, and eventually we'll prepare a proper presentation about the topic.
Cool. Nice seeing you guys.
Cheers.
Thanks, Roberto.
Bye.
Yeah. By the way, this is something that I've ideated for over a year, going like just now when the guys were in Africa, in the Cardano event in Africa, I was in a merchant in a co-work in Lisbon, and I feel the need for this kind of tool. So I may very well try to make this, run in production or something. Let's see. But it's amazing how it was accurate in doing this kind of stuff. See if I was really just looking for something to, there we go.
Okay, it says ready to edit on canvas in Figma Design. Oh yeah, and then this does trigger my, like the free trial thing where it's it's just enough to do this.
I think this is the thing. We are in Figma Make, which is the one that basically is using Claude. And with the free version, I can't really copy design from here to Figma. Eventually, if I was paying something, not sure if this is the entry level, could be, then I could do it. But again, yeah, I'm not so much a Figma person.
Yeah.
Let's keep in touch, Newman, about one of these subscriptions and experimenting that.
That is I think something that we could try to do, because when this is something that I've come across with, because I'm cheap, man. My grandparents were, anyway, I'm super cheap. I am crazy inexpensive, and those things are a blocker. 20 euro a month is just, it's way, it requires priority. And is it a super priority? But the interesting thing is that if we are doing it for a big community and we're kind of sharing it, or somehow it's value to a whole network, like for instance, the Gimbal Labs crew, or the whole of Cardano, like then it becomes, then it's a business expense. I could write it off. I'm doing my taxes later on today. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's take it to the side here, and I'm gonna come back to us on future calls. Great stuff.
But okay. Yeah.
Sorry, you were gonna say?
I'm trying to think. Well, I was just gonna see what the next agenda item is.
So overall, on this topic of AI, I had all this, but maybe we're already halfway through our time, so let's just fly over it and see if there's anything that we want to highlight before moving onwards to the design side of the call, since we're halfway through the time. So, cycle is with a Y, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The other one. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, thanks. So development cycle and front end is what we were talking about. Just to close on that topic, I really feel like the Figma diagrams could be good, because you could go there and tweak it, saying, I want this button to be this big, and you just drag it, which is something that you can't do with Claude currently on the chat side. So I think that would be the only use for having the Figma side. But anyway, so yeah, for Claude, on the Claude side, you can use Claude to write your code from the specs, which I've been doing quite a lot on VS Studio. I noticed.
Lucas, can you show me what your specs look like? I'm really curious.
Oh, well, yeah.
In the end, it's really just like, let me see if I can bring it up here. This is a small project that I'm doing for a friend, and just bear with me while it loads. Here we go.
Okay, so what I can see, this is your VS Code, and do you use, your like a chat interface in through the IDE itself?
Yeah, actually, I can do. Let's start with this. This is the progressive web app that I've done from scratch from the Excel checklists that the customer had. He was actually asking me just to pivot all those checklists to a way that he could make it more practical. And he's using operations management in a hotel. They're refurbishing 8 floors. For each floor, they have a number of rooms. Each room has different room types. And then for each room, he needs to tick all these boxes. And I'm just in read-only mode for now. But if I come back here and log in, I'm just putting my password. And now if I go into a floor, you can see, I can fill everything with okay, not okay, clean, or like reset everything. So this is the typical app, just to give you an idea. And what I've been doing overnight, for example, I was adding these filters. I was adding, like when you're in a room, these buttons weren't here last night. Now you can scroll down to the notes, or you can scroll back up. And, I'm just fine-tuning the UX, but, it's experimental. So you need to, so these ones have some notes on floor something, room something is without a sofa. I can jump from here to the room. And now I'm straight into that room's checklist. So, it's starting to feel interesting. And one thing that I've done initially, this didn't have admin. So now overnight, I asked it to add a full admin side to it. And you can see that I have the groups of checks. So this is furniture. This is like refurbishment, plumbing, electricity, etc., etc. And so for each of these sub-checklists, I can say, okay, there are all these items to check around electricity. And then this kind of electricity checklist is attached to a room type. So the familiar or the family room is going to be using some room checklists. So, it's fairly simple in terms of data structures, but you can see it starts getting complicated. And you can imagine my friend originally was looking at a problem of checking all this stuff. So if you look at it from the operations side, so the typical work that needs to be done, and you zoom it to all the floors, it's, I think it's, if you go to the report, for example, it's 17,000 checks, and he was going to do this on Excel. So the value that this can provide to them, is like, now he can just come to a room and do the rounds and tick, 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 tick on his phone, like tap, 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 all down here, and that's it. We were adding a filter, for example, that's really practical on some floors. If I go to floor 8, which is more filled in, here, for example, he's only missing 5 or 4 things of these 57 things to do. So if I click there, he has to browse through and find where the buttons, the red situations are. So now I added a filter here that just filters out the green ones, and he can see only what's missing. So it's these kinds of usability things that I think I've been tuning more recently. But yeah, just bringing it back to the how it was done, it seems to not be loading. 1 second.
Well, while you're working on that, I think that's really cool. I mean, the whole idea of a bespoke visual of a spreadsheet, because you could do all that in a spreadsheet, but like on mobile and all the little boxes, and then how it's like errant clicks could like have big changes. So I just think the idea of it is phenomenal. Like, it's just great. And then I could see where it's very simple for the AI, meaning that it's it's big, but it's not difficult. I guess I just see that would be a great AI project.
Yeah. So I can't see it show you to you on the VS Code right now, but to Harsh's question, so this would be me asking and improving the requirements back and forth for a number of things. Now, initially I was doing it here, and it was tedious because I kept downloading the code, reviewing it locally. Then I upload it to my web server that runs the PHP. This is, by the way, without React or anything. It's just PHP, CSV files on the backend server, and that's it. But yeah, for some of these speech bubbles here from my side, you can clearly see, let's change this functionality, let's add that, this doesn't make sense. And now what happens when I have it running on code, which unfortunately is not showing for some reason. I'm just going to reload it once again. On VS Code, it's really a lot more fun because you can see it thinking, and you can see a number of steps that I couldn't see on the web version.
So I'm curious now, folding back to that Nate Jones, like it feels like that's like that getting a file and then bringing the file over into your IDE is like a first step. That's how I started. And then I find myself more and more in the interface, my IDE interface, where I've just got a chat bot there. And I used to use that chat bot in the IDE for sort of technical or code questions, and my web interface chat for more general like strategy questions or creating prompts or asking for like learning, like how do I learn about this? It's more like they kind of, in my mind, or how I started using it was as like a buddy to talk about the code, and then an engineer to build the code. So there was kind of a separation, but I see that kind of fuzzing out and using the IDE more.
Too lazy to do what you're doing. When my brother was more of an early adopter of AI than me, and I was just like, forget it. I tried it a couple of times. I was initially, like 1 year or 2 years ago, I always felt like I could have done it quicker if I just Googled some functions and do it myself or something. Now I don't feel that at all. So with this was the first solution that was really like, I didn't write almost any of this. I am having a lot of fun seeing the diffs in everything. I understand so for example, now I was just experimenting with switching off my phone's Wi-Fi to make sure that if my friend is doing the checks and the connectivity is failing, the UI is transparent about that. So all of the little glitches and things, I'm testing all these. And when I do one of those small things, like putting in this filter or something like that, I see the diff and I see what it's doing. So whether it's because of looking at the diffs, whether it is because I see it's thinking, and it does it does a plan of what it's going to do on VS Code. It's really transparent, so it really teaches you how to develop. I've never done React or something like that, but I'm going to venture into doing that kind of stuff soon to, because I feel like I have like a tutor. Okay, guys, so we've covered a lot of this. So this was the question here. So is Figma a visual layer between you and your AI, or is it just a distraction? Looks like we're going to have to pay Figma to have that kind of interaction. And I'm not sure, apparently no one has done this kind of thing. But I feel like, exactly like we were talking, instead of you chatting and then you coding from his directions, I want him to code. And instead of me explaining, sometimes I say, I want this button 50% larger. I just want to drag it and let him implement it on the code or something. But I've also had situations, the same way that at a point I had an execution plan that was bringing a lot of noise from previous requests. So it updated the first 2 sections, but it didn't update the rest. It was going to repeat some actions. So there was that glitch. That same way, I had some visual elements. I wasn't being able to tap on a button. I could only tap half of it because another element was in front, and the AI wasn't really picking up on that. I had to raise that question and propose a solution. Harsha, I think we can hear you type, so if you can mute when you're not speaking.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Cheers, thank you. So this basically covers that part. And then using AI for design and aesthetics is a whole different ballpark. I hear a lot of people saying they're using it with Canva. Yesterday, me and my girlfriend were doing a flyer for her in Gemini Notebook LM. and I feel I was in a workbook LM recently that is really yeah, it shows you a lot for gimbal apps, for example, in terms of creating videos with content. I really recommend that tool, but it's one of those that's at the stage where you don't really control what it's doing. So for Gemini, for example, it's even worse, where my girlfriend fed in all the text that she wanted on the flyer, and it gave her a look, but then she was missing her name on it or something like that. And when she submitted it again with her name, the look was completely different because it's just random and you have no control over it. And that's no good for if you're really, wanting to own your design. So yeah, that's what I can share for now. But let's come back to it. Anyone else?
Yeah, just another experience of mine. You showed you kind of a pet project. Usually for those type of pet projects that I have, I usually use Replit for that. Replit makes the whole app that I'm trying to build, backend, front end, etc. Deploys it, and
how do I spell that? Replit AI.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, basically I do the specs in Claude, post it to Replit, and it builds me an app from one end to the other. Then I just have to correct with little prompts that I usually use Claude to help me correct those.
Okay, something more for us to try. And when you say you put it into sorry, I'm on Cairo. I think I clicked an advertisement.
That's
right?
Cairo. Yeah, I said Replit. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. I went for. I felt for the bait.
I was wondering what you were doing.
Guys, you need to point this out. I'm sorry.
Oh man. But it's
the guys
R-E-
made it into our recording.
Yeah.
Replit, right?
That's it's really zero code, and it makes full app in an instant. I can share if you want the last one I did.
Well, maybe share it with me asynchronously. Drop it on the Miro board.
Yeah.
I'm a bit concerned we're a bit late on in terms of time
sure.
today. But Ugo, thank you so much for coming by and sharing this. And stick around. Come by more often. Hugo was one of the learners for our first Web3 workshops in Portuguese. He's a friend, a local friend. And we've been experimenting. We got into crypto together like 4 years ago. And we've been experimenting with different technologies. So yeah, let's just try to scroll down and see what we have here more. In terms of flagship sources for aesthetics and design, well, graphical design, if you will. What I did was I poked a number of friends and colleagues that have contributed to 45B so far. And so the typical one that everyone kept mentioning, or the tip of their tongue, let's say, was Behance and Dribble. So let's have a quick look at them. And if you know them, if you have an opinion, please jump in. I think this one everyone knows by name, I think. But it's mostly like a gallery, right? Gallery of designs, gallery of designers. And it always articulates a bit with jobs and all that. So Dribble seems to be the same kind of stuff. But it could be interesting for, to browse, to get exposed to good UI and good ideas, design overall. There's some UI UX here.
Drop into one. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. So let's try this. This is a remittance thing, which sort of relates with what we're about in Cardano and crypto and all that.
So they've created this design and they're selling it, or?
Yeah, there seems to be a studio. It's available for work. And this is in their portfolio. Yeah, okay. That's the side that I don't appreciate so much, but it's a market. Let's say it's like a JPEG store. Let's just have a quick look at other ones. So this Tanya is a designer that has collaborated with us a lot in some projects. She went more down the line that I meant to explore, which is this kind of, sharing design, but without necessarily being a marketplace for designers and that kind of stuff. So this is one that you can explore. Let's have a look at other ones. This one we've seen. This again, it was on the second and third option. This one could be interesting as well. But we're jumping into a specific platform, right? There's a lot to explore, I think, and hopefully, if we do a bit of this, and we can come back and say, okay, I went into this website, I started going there more recurringly, and which ones are interesting for you. For me, I actually have books like this one for ages, like for 20 years since I was doing websites, that have, the teasing of different layouts, different fonts, different colors. I don't think I've spoken enough about this. Probably, I think that's one of the reasons Shaggy is a bit frustrated with the design center. But we do mean to go into it a bit more. But when I do, I wanted to have more designers on the call as well. So that's why I haven't done it so much. And for today, what I wanted to share is a bit like what these professionals are sharing with us. I don't think we're going to have time to go into all of them. And as you can see, each of them is like huge list of things, or huge portfolio of things that you can explore. So I'm just gonna invite you to have a look. Nuno, for example, said that he's been the designer for he's 40 years old now. He's been doing this for 20 years or more just focused on the design side. And so there seems to be, sorry.
Well, just yeah, this is interesting. As just design examples, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah. A lot of these seem to be like these snippings and Mandelbrot, or how do you mean it? How do you mention it? It's like a mesh of clippings and influences that you can explore. And I feel like we've spoken about this a bit when Harsha was on a call before as well, to get inspiration from this and then reinvent it and include it in your products to be sort of refreshing with things that you are recycling and that you want to use as communication tools. So it could be just a font or palette or something like that. So yeah, there's a lot to explore, but let's try to have someone that can really speak to those kinds of things better than me on future calls. Katarina is a digital lead as well, and she shared this kind of thing as well. This seems to be like for probably it's something that she dabbles in terms of deadlines and competitions for design, it seems, right? I don't see any that are more like relating with our side of like our space. And that's good sometimes, right? So yeah, I'm gonna leave all of these in the Miro board for us to keep grooming a bit. It was really just dropping some ideas here on both these main topics for today. And then I have some like open discussion teasers. So we all know like MailChimp and Typeform, Linktree. I'm not sure if, does anyone not know Typeform? They do, like when you're doing surveys, instead of just using Google Forms, if you use these guys, they have like very, very sexy questionnaires with this kind of UI. And my question was whether it's MailChimp or this, or even Linktree, how many of these SaaS solutions are winning against their competition because they have a nice UX? So Typeform is just an alternative to Google, but their unique selling proposition, the USP, so that's why I wrote here looks as a USP. So they're doing the same as others, but they're not improving on customer service or something like that. They're improving on the sexiness of their look. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people forget or can't achieve when they're working in Cardano, and that we are trying to foster and raise awareness to. Any thoughts?
But did you just say sexiness, Lucas?
Yes. It is the UI. Like,
it is maybe the sexy UI. Yeah. I think that's people say that. People talk about that. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we were just.
It's attractive. It's attractive. It's an attractive UI.
Yeah. So this is what
we were just looking at art gallery design websites and everything, and when you come to this one, it's not the same as getting to Google Forms or something like that. You can feel this. You can realize there's some influence here, I think. So you see the fonts are very sharp. There's a huge contrast between serif fonts and non-serif fonts. The colors are very smooth. Everything is pixel perfect, right? And so ideally, coming back to our experimentation today with where did I put it? The mock-up that I was doing. Ideally, you need to trim it, groom it, improve it until you get like this kind of UI UX that really distinguishes you from your friends. Actually, I put in Linktree here, but I'm thinking of using or vibe coding an alternative to Linktree, because I keep promoting I've created a forwarding page that just sends everyone to our page. But Linktree is actually not a good example of a great UI UX, is it? They added something now about dark mode, bright mode, but I don't think it's, I'm going to try to find an alternative for this one.
So what would you like Linktree to be like, Lucas? Like what would be something that you'd be like, oh, wow?
Well, maybe if we start Googling, we'll find alternatives that have better UI UX, but this kind of...
I'm specifically speaking about usability. Like what is it that you're not able to use in the current form, or is it just about looks? Should it look more attractive?
Yeah, that's another thing. Like for the viewer, the functionalities are not running that smooth. So you can see here, for some of them, it created thumbnails of sorts. For others, so these two are very similar. They're just two YouTube playlists. I have a nice thumbnail on one, not so framed in terms of size, but the other one is also just a playlist, and it didn't get the thumbnails. Another thing that I would like to do here functionally is that when we get to our calendars here, you can jump in to see the Luma calendar, but I keep telling people that I want them, or it's really advisable to click this and subscribe to add it to their calendar. So what I'm going to do in my vibe code version of Linktree, hope maybe I can showcase it in a future version, in a future call of these, is to include these kinds of buttons here. So I think that could get more people engaged instead of missing those leads, let's say.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And overall, yeah, the smoothness is not like, it's really coarse. I would say it's very black on white on black, 100%.
But I thought you could change like the designs and stuff like that. No, is it not?
If
like
you pay or something, yeah.
Oh, if you pay, okay, cool.
Yeah, maybe, but that brings me to this as well. If more of these tools were open source, what would happen? Probably a lot more people would be using them. Open source has its cons as well, where you need often to run your own infra or something like that. But it's something that I wanted to bring as well to our discussions here in this space is let's have nice UX and try to build on others' things and share back to merge back to those repos, let's say. Any thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, so do you have enough time to usually like contribute to open source project, Lucas?
Well, one of the things we're working on, or it has been hibernated, but we need to reactivate it, is a Docusaurus visualization. For Docusaurus has like this kind of listing of things, like with cards, and then you can let me just change this a bit so we can see each other. So then you can relate. We're going to be relating all those cards. So what we're going to do, as soon as I realize, okay, I'm going to build upon the Docusaurus standard showcase engine. So let's try to contact them and make sure that they or inquire about them merging it back to their official distribution. So, but overall, yeah, my contributions are not code usually.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And yourself, anything that you want to share in terms of open sourceness?
I don't know, because I feel like whenever I see an open source project that I want to work on, like I get like overwhelmed because it feels like a big thing. So many people are putting in PRs and issues and stuff like that. So I keep getting overwhelmed all the time. So I was just curious how you guys feel about it in general.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you in a while when we try to when we do get feedback from the Docusaurus crowd about that extension to their thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so this point we're probably not going to have that much time, but can you see my screen and read fairly okay?
Yes.
Okay, so on the last call that we did on Next Space, we started sort of teasing people to point out what are the best and worst UX experiences that they have on Cardano. So we are probably going to try to continue to create a board with that kind of stuff. And I had this link here to click on. Let me just see if I can prepare a browser for it to land on. I'm not sure if not this one, what other directories of Cardano apps do you know? Cardano Cube? Anything else?
Yeah, those are the two. Yeah, that Cardano Cube and that Cardano.org /apps. It
And
does
Google.
seem like there's others. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there may be some others, but yeah, what I'll do is I'll just add these two, and hopefully we can. This one, by the way, is the one that I was talking about that's on Docusaurus, and that we can relate things between each other. We're going to be working on that kind of stuff, not for the apps, but for the infrastructure ones, for the libraries and all that. But yeah, between these two, maybe we could try to enrich our radar to do sort of a ranking or contribute back to the community with some kind of feedback on what we found was best and worst. Yeah, I think it's sort of like points for caring about design for those builders. The last thing I have here, it's like in Portuguese we have an expression that's like in the blacksmith's house you use sticks, not iron, and so there's this kind of situation, even if you look at our website or things like those. And so I think we all could worry a bit more or take a bit more time to care about our own design, and mea culpa about that. I'm not sure how you guys feel about this statement, or I see Gimbal Labs website is mostly just a landing page, and then you have the calendar, and what else?
Yeah, this it's just this link. It's basically like a link tree. There are some sort of hidden directories that are carryover from the old website. Like, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's some directories. If you go to gimbalabs.com/calendar or /something. But it is something I've actually got it written down for today. Like, website. Like what is a community website and what needs to go there? The most important, obviously, is that I feel like is that calendar and the links to our GitHub and other sort of stuff. But it may be one of those what did you call it? Is it a QSL or quality something? It could be a distinguishing thing.
Yeah. I think these guys, for example, are doing nice work of having a landing page that is very self-explanatory about what they do. I remember they've gone through a number of iterations, and I don't know, CB DAO, for example, has a nice outlook as well, right?
Maybe, I think Mesh and maybe Aiken, they have some really incredible dashboards, basically that shows, like, for instance, it's got like their catalyst proposals. Again, it's sort of we track it in Notion, and Harsha and I were talking about this. It's like, oh, we could use Notion as a backend, like a Notion as a spreadsheet, but then build a website that is reflected so that we can kind of work with an app front-end website instead of Notion. Or, what I'm saying? It's just like, it is a front end to a data source or a data store. And the cool thing about an app is that you can change the front end, because it's all a front end. It's a spreadsheet front end. It's just ones and zeros. It's just assembly code, but so it's all front end in a way.
Yeah.
But those dashboards, if you can find one of those dashboards,
for Aiken?
Yeah, look and see. Go to maybe maybe Mesh. Try Mesh. I think they have theirs like right up at the solutions resource. Maybe an about. Or Project Catalyst. Go to Project Catalyst or governance. Yeah, try Project Catalyst. I think. No, this isn't. No, this is not a sexy front end, but it had like, progress bars and contributor people. Like it was really cool. It was a great front end in that way of that. It was displaying the data in a human friendly way.
I think I thought so. Yeah, their Catalyst page was really like you were describing. I'm not sure that was one.
No, where it is. They've got it hidden down somewhere. Because it's generally, I get the sense that it is not.
I think could it be this one?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's similar. That's interesting.
This
because
is a Gov tool, isn't it?
Yeah. So they created a general Gov tool, and then this appears as like their mesh thing. This is kind of like what we want to do with Gimbal Labs with our latest what we just talked about yesterday with Atama, who is gonna maybe use, because this is an open source tool. They've open sourced this, and we could use it and any DREP could use this front end,
So you're talking about this, which one? These screens that we're seeing, Mesh has open sourced them, is that it?
At least their DREP part. I don't know. They generally are pretty happy with the DREPness, or the decentralized open sourceness. You know, um, we know one of the key architects in this that was really focused in on building these dashboards.
Yeah,
And
and by the way, this probably has a lot of talent in common with CGov, right?
it is the same guys. This is the same. This is a mesh project. And there was a bit of hot drama because there was another tool called CGov that they were building on, and they kind of borrowed the name, sort of borrowed without asking, kind of had a collision. And it seems like the CGov tool is the original CGov is has just been taken off. But this one,
Anyways.
I mean, regardless of how it got here, it's pretty good. And I would love to see this kind of visualization. And it feels like with the AI that we can get there a little quicker, because you just have to describe it and then it can do some of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And quickly, for instance, get like, features like a dark mode or different themes, which is super simple for an AI. But if you're a designer and you're trying to work through it, it can be really challenging.
One thing that, as you can see, my computer is dragging a lot, and this is not smooth in terms of animations. When they're very heavy, I don't have hardware acceleration for this, so it's my Ubuntu is limited.
And you maybe with your streaming, you maybe like taxing your visual stuff with the streaming too.
There's also these guys that have nice websites, usually TXPipe, TX3, and Asteria. There's usually they're presenting themselves really, really nicely. So I think that was basically the kind of exercise that I wanted to do with this kind of tease, and admit like we really need to improve our own thing for 45B.
Yeah.
So as you know, you can tell as soon as you land on it where this website came from, right?
I thought that was clever. I thought that was really clever. I was like, wait a minute, where am I? I feel strangely at home here.
Yeah. But the worst part is that we're keeping some of the content, and so we need to
that's
maybe point to it instead of allowing it to be duplicated here.
The trick with borrowing / stealing great artists. I think it was Picasso maybe that said it. Great, good artists borrow and great artists steal, or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But hey man,
guys,
great. Thanks for
that.
Yep.
That was it for today. Thanks for sticking around. We'll be around every week. I hope you liked the experience of using StreamYard this time. I know Tara was having some trouble on the chat, and thanks to Anselmo for doing the régie. Is that the term, right? Direction?
The director.
Could be.
Cool. Guys, keep in touch. I've been teasing you on the Discord channel for this on our server. Keep in touch there. Drop us some ideas, and let's, for example, to start with, ideate what we can do next week. Meanwhile, I know we have a lot to catch up on in terms of tasks, but we'll be around to deliver on those.
Good times. Thanks, y'all. See you later. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.